I think it's only fair that we alert everyone that if the stream suddenly cuts off, it is because the severe winter weather is. I'm supposed to have like 11 inches, 12 inches of snow by this afternoon, sitting on the ground.
You're the one that moved. That's all I have.
Well, that's not nice. I mean, you're dealing with -4, -5 for your temperature, so it's not like Indianapolis is that much better.
No, we're just cold. I'd rather have snow. I'd rather have snow and not be this cold. It's stupid cold out.
No, well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Eventually, maybe it'll warm up where you're at, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Not holding my breath.
No, wow.
It's going to be like this forever.
Probably. At least you don't have to deal with Snowmageddon and not being able to go outside because the snow's piling up.
Well, I don't know how you didn't think this wouldn't happen when you decided to move to Michigan. But hey, that's just me.
Oh, everyone says Michigan's so nice this time of year. It's either winter or it's construction. That's the two seasons of Michigan, Chris. So,
Michigan construction. Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, I guess we can talk about nerd stuff.
Sure.
Did you finally watch Delicious in Dungeon? We did talk.
I did not.
I
didn't.
I find you disappointing.
I've been finishing up a couple other things and not starting Echo because I'll talk about that. But since you don't do superheroes, just because it's lower down the list, you don't do superheroes. I know you don't.
Echo is this a comic book or a TV show or a movie?
It's it's the next in the Disney Marvel series that they put a TV show out for. Long story short, it's getting kind of panned, but I don't know. I haven't watched it. I'm not going to pass judgment on it, but I am fit. I have one more episode to go. And what was the Netflix series I'm watching? The Brothers something. It's with anyways. No, I haven't gotten to watch it yet.
No. Yeah. I assume then you also haven't seen Pokemon Concierge.
I refuse.
Well, it's very cute. It's very adorable. They could punch up the dialogue.
It was like 15-minute skits.
Yeah, but basically about escaping the toxic work culture we're all living in with Pokemon.
Great. Sounds good. I'm glad that Pokemon can bring happiness to people and get them out of toxic work culture.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm sure the people at Game Freak are struggling from toxic work culture, but that's on them. They just need to watch their own TV show and invent Pokemon for real. So then I can finally live out my dream as Pokemon trainer.
Not even going there.
You don't want to be a small child that runs away from home and tries to handle super dangerous, powerful creatures that could literally breathe fire on you when they sneeze and kill you in an instant.
I'm already married.
Oh, okay. That's rude.
With children.
Uh-huh. Better hope your children aren't watching.
Well,
So, Chris, the main thing I want to talk about today, though, is what's your favorite quest you've ever done? Either you've been a part of or you ran.
In D&D or in real life when I was pursuing my life, and that was a quest to fulfill love.
Oh, how did your quest for love work out for you?
Been married 20 years. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you had a happy ever after. But no, so RPGs, what's your favorite quest you've ever been
on? Let's see. I like Strad when we played the
That's an adventure, Chris.
I know, but that was I was getting to it. What was the quest that we had? There's a quest inside of the what's the one that you have to do? Something in a pond. We fucked it all up. In a lake. I can't remember.
Oh, I mean, so getting into spoilers for Curse of Strahd.
Sorry.
Yeah, you have to help a woman escape Strahd's lustful gaze, and it can get real screwy if you let her. If you don't do that, but then if you do some things, yeah, she maybe because she becomes a sky demon or a lake dweller.
I like that because we fucked it up so badly. I
You
really
guys
did. That
did.
was fun.
You guys did a great job of getting her to where she needed to be super safe, and then just fucking off somewhere else into Barovia and letting her die.
You would expect nothing more from us, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
But quest, let's see. Other than that, I would say I'd have to go back to probably all the way back to 1E. And it was something I ran. It was a simple one. It was more of like, it was you had to get X, a sword, I think, to kill something. I forget what it was. Probably some sort of undead, because the thing that comes to it was some sort of magical silver sword, because you actually had to use silver to kill shit then. It wasn't like, oh yeah, my sword's regular. Yeah, okay, that's fine. It's a +1. Who cares? Like, if you didn't have a silver weapon back in early editions, it didn't work. You could not hurt things that were not, and there were a lot of things that were immune to non-silver weapon attacks. It was bad.
You sound like an old man yelling at the crowd, at the clouds.
Just shiny.
Back in my day, we had to use silver swords to kill our werewolves, and we liked it.
Exactly. Now you can't like read them a story now and make him your friend. Although that would be pretty neat.
I mean, technically, you still need silver weapons to hurt them, unless your weapon happens to be magical. So,
yeah, just because they're magical doesn't mean they still shouldn't be silver. Anyways, so it was a small like quest that I was running. It was a small quest, a part of a bigger campaign that I was running. And it was just kind of fun because I think it was one of the first things I'd actually homebrewed instead of going out. And I really keep meaning to bring up the little old first edition modules that are like thin, sort of like the 5e books nowadays that you pay $60 for, and I would pay $4 for those. But it was
inflation really screwed over the dollar.
That's it. Inflation.
Yeah.
You mean corporate profits, which are 30% to 40% of inflation? Sure. Anyways, I digress. So it was the first thing I got to actually homebrew. It was one of the first kind of things, and it wasn't hard. It was sort of like, hey, you're in the city. Shocking, you're in a tavern, and then you go and you have to walk through the forest. I didn't actually use random encounter rules. I actually made up something to so that there was something set instead of going into the back of you ever look in the back of the AD&D 1E Monster Manual? If you love tables and charts, go there. There's a table and chart for everything. You pretty much live your daily life running on that chart. See how it goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was fun. It was just nice. It was the first thing I had done. It was the first thing I had written, and it was a small quest inside of a larger adventure that I was running. So I had made it.
When was this?
Oh, you're going there. Why don't you just ask me how old I am? Huh? Go ahead. Just go ahead. Do that.
Sorry, I didn't, was this 1973?
This would have been probably 1982, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I would be like, actually 1982, I was 12. Yeah, I was 12.
Okay. Wow. That I don't remember the first quest I ran. It was probably some sort of Tomb of Annihilation, because that's when I started, was at a D&D Adventures League, and I was helping to run Tomb of Annihilation. So that was probably the first one I ever ran. Though I think
where we met.
Yeah. I think my favorite quest I've ever done was a one-shot that I did for our blog, where the group of adventurers got invited to a special meeting at a fun house. And they had no idea what was going on. And as they arrive at the fun house, it is easy to see that it is dilapidated and kind of crumbling down. But as you enter into there's all these sorts of things going on. So there was a room, a mirror maze room. There was a, I think you made the map for this. So
I drew the map.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
there's like that spinning tunnel. This is like if you've ever been to like a state fair or a county fair, like those weird traveling trucks that just have like a mirror maze, punching bags, those mirrors that kind of distort your body and make you look
The
more handsome
spinny
than you
wheel thing
normally
that you
are.
can walk through.
Yeah, and so like I had like a bunch of those things kind of set up, and part of me was a little worried it might be a little silly, but it worked out really well. People seemed to really enjoy it, and then of course at the end of it, all of it, there were some evil cultists trying to sacrifice them, but that's the life of an adventurer, I suppose.
Yeah. No, yeah, I remember that. I remember drawing the maps for that one, and I also remember saying being so spooked up by listening to it. I'm like, I don't want to play this. I
Oh,
don't. Creepy funhouse? No. I mean,
yeah.
did
You
you?
could have
What
evil
was a movie?
clowns like hunting you through the maze.
Unless they're killer clowns from outer space, no thanks.
No, I've never
And
seen
then
that.
there was a horror movie named Funhouse. There's something kind of similar now. Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, there was an old horror movie named Funhouse. But there was also Five Nights at Freddy's is kind of similar to that, although you didn't have animatronic things trying to kill you that were possessed, although could have
No,
easily
that
killed
would have
them.
been good to add in though.
So that was have you ever played a hero and had a favorite quest? Like, I know you're a DM for life by choice.
No, I played. Actually, I was doing a West Marches, and one of the quests that I was doing, we went out from like the central city that the Adventurers Guild was at, and I was playing in Tiamat worshiping Dragonborn, who is basically just like teenage rebellion and personified into a single teenage Dragonborn, who started worshiping Tiamat just because everyone else said that he shouldn't. Definitely was not a reflection of my childhood in the least. I did have a really fond memory of just like not as my personal quest of like trying to break in deeper into the city because the city was set up in such a way that you could only access certain spots within the city and the way to get closer or to like the center of the city you had to be important person, have certain badges or things of that nature. And so he was just constantly trying to figure out ways to like break into the sections of the city he wasn't allowed into, probably to knock over any Bahamut shrines or spew acid into wells and things, teenage things.
You really should play more and not DM more, because anytime I ask you about a character that you've done, you get that exact look you have. The self-control to keep the laughter that you want to let loose when you start thinking about these things is quite apparent, because every time you start, like, you want to giggle like a little girl because you're just like, I remember when I did this. I mean, you should
Most
play
of
a
my
little bit more.
characters kind of
It
come
brings you
down
joy.
to most of my characters kind of come down to how obnoxious will this DM let me be?
Yeah, true enough. I mean, and I think that's what brings you joy, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're not, angsty's one thing, but they're not like full blown wearing all black emo, and
No,
you're
they're
not
not
an
murder
edgelord.
hobos or
Yeah,
or just like looking to kill as many people as possible. They're just I'm just looking to spice up
amuse
everyone's
yourself.
gameplay. Yeah. And
Yeah.
amuse myself. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the moment I get into a game, I mean, we've played in games together where we're both
Yeah, I know.
players, and I felt bad for the game master at the end of it. But I had a lot of
Oh,
fun.
bullshit. You never felt bad when I ran one. You played what, a kobold busker or something that it played like 6 instruments?
Well, I don't feel bad if I'm abusing you.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. You have broad
'Cause, yeah,
shoulders. You can take it.
oh, sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to relax a little bit. Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't actually DM'd enough to lately, although it's kind of an interesting thought of setting a quest. And you wrote an article, right? Like 100 quests.
I've read a couple of articles. There's a
The one that comes to mind is
D100
like,
quest for
yeah, that's the one.
tools. D100 quests across the multiverse. So, you know, like if you're
I could do that one
trying to
too.
come up with an idea for your party, you can look up those 2 articles, and I mean that's like 200 quests right there. You know, 100 plus 100. If my math checks out.
Let me hang on a second. Yep. So,
Yay, I did it.
Yay. Okay, I'm proud of you. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's not like you go when you're playing, when you're an adventure, when you're in a campaign. Wouldn't you say you'd be going on a series of mini quests most of the time, and then for the
What is an adventure
overarching?
but quests? I mean, I suppose really, for being serious about it, adventuring is just questing. It's just more focused quests, and so you can have your side quests, your main quest, your plot quests. I don't know.
Well, I guess that begs the question: at what point do you have to drag players out of the side quest that they've gone on because they've just gone down a rabbit hole? It feels like a lot of times in campaigns you hear people bitch. I mean, you always hear DMs like laugh about, okay, so I have this main quest and I've put a couple that they have to do X, Y, and Z to get there. You know, you have to, I don't know, kill the dragon, steal the sword, whatever, blah, 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 to finish the main quest. And they go off the side quests and that becomes the main quest for them and they forget to pull themselves back.
I'm pretty sure that Alice in Wonderland is basically what happens if you literally let your players go down a side quest, a rabbit hole, and then she stumbles into like this side quest. The DM obviously making up a ton of stuff off the top of their head. I mean, like the food and the potions that make you bigger and smaller. That's just the game master trying to like quickly come up with something to like stall the players while they come up with the rest of the side quest. And then like
True.
the lunacy of Alice in Wonderland, like the entire world is just someone constantly trying to come up with stuff in the middle of a session and trying to make sure that there is some sort of cohesion. But at the end of it, yeah, it's just a massive side quest rabbit hole that they went down.
Or it's a Blades in the Dark session. You're just testing the DM's mental acuity. So, yeah, I mean, it just seems, side quests are fun. When I think of side quests now, I think of playing Witcher. And it's just like, all right, I know I got to get to the end of this. I've been playing for 300 hours, but I really want to finish this one side quest because I want to. Don't have to. I want to. And, my son's smart. He finishes the game, then he goes back and does all the side quests. No, that's why I lose my mind when I play computer games. Is I try and do every side quest as I'm playing, and you get frustrated and you just stop. So, anyways, yeah.
Or you put in 500 hours into a video game, and then you're like, oh, that was only the first act.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, how's the wife liking Baldur's Gate 3? She doing all in?
She thinks she's gonna beat it this weekend, but then she gets another side quest, and she's like, it's probably gonna be another couple of hours. She's kind of a
proving my point.
Yeah.
Tell her thank you for proving my point.
Yeah. It's kind of I mean, that's the same problem when you get to like things like Skyrim, where it's like, all right, great. I'm gonna go become the Dragonborn. I'm gonna Fusroda all over the place. Ooh, shiny trinket. And then you're off wandering the mountains trying to figure out how to, what even is the story at this point. And then you have to look up a guide online and being like, oh, I was supposed to do that. That's weird. Why would I do that?
God, having the cheat stuff online. I'm sorry, not cheats. Guidebooks online is so great.
Yeah. I heard you. I had a Game Shark as a child, and I got special abilities that you wouldn't normally get in a game. It's not cheating. It's just playing a different game.
Yeah. It can be fun, I guess. It's different. Yeah. I was gonna say something, but then you make fun of me for being old again, so forget it. I'm not gonna say it. All right. Well, Quests, yay! All right, so yeah, so you got quests. There you go. You happy? We talked about quests. Still
I'm very
snowing?
happy. Yes, it's still snowing. Yeah. Do you have a favorite monster you've ever used in a quest? I mean, or an adventure?
Monster?
Yeah, monster. We talk a lot about monsters. I mean, we've done deep dives for like the last 6 years. We've done 160, 170 deep dives. Like, what is your favorite monster to build an entire adventure around?
You're asking hard questions.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I love Arcanoloths, which is like the little weird fox spellcasters. They're like CR12, I think. Just they can shape change. They can cast spells. They're foxes. They're cunning and clever and tricksy. Everything about them is wonderful, and they can mock the players, teleport away, dimension door away, turn invisible, and they're a fiend, and everyone loves a good fiend because they can fix them.
It's interesting though, because there's for a long time there wasn't. If you look at through the editions, I was thinking about this because I was thinking back in my day, back when I first started, you had a dragon. A dragon was like, that was your monster. That was the big bad. It was a dragon or a lich. Honestly, those were the two ones that you had. Then I'm kind of going through my brain. I'm like, and then there weren't much to do with dragons until 5e sort of started bringing the adventure back, where it was like, hey, oh yeah, we have dragons in our name, so we're going to start making them actually like a big monster you have to fight.
I would point out 3rd edition and 4th edition both had Draconomicons.
I know, but from an adventure
2 Draconomicons.
That's because they were just trying to pump out books. But adventure-wise, I don't know. Yeah, because it's straight. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I would say Lich probably. I'll go with Lich. I like
Lich is pretty good. Yeah. That's fair. I mean, that's incredibly
boring. I know
for you. Yeah. Everyone else has done Lich. Come on now, pick something interesting like an Incantifer, which is basically just a Lich, but
now you're just throwing names out there. No, you
just... 2nd edition, there was a pseudo Lich called an Incantifer located over in Sigil. There was a group of them, and instead of having undeath through Lichdom, they became Incantifers, where they infused their entire body with magic. And so you can kind of think of them like hollow dragons that have, instead of becoming a Draco Lich, they become hollow dragons. So fused with energy that, like, if you pierce their scales, you can see the energy inside of their bodies. Kind of the same thing for Incantifers, where they're so filled with magical energy. And like they're constantly having to devour the magic inside of magic items to prolong their life.
I'm only laughing because I'm thinking to myself, if you actually could, I don't know, read a medical textbook and absorb the information like that, like you do with all this shit, you've cured cancer.
I fall asleep.
And I'm talking all the cancers, all of them, not just one, all of them.
Medical textbooks are really boring. Role-playing game textbooks are really interesting. When you get through all the charts, you're like, ooh, if I roll a 3, this happens. That's very interesting. There's no charts in medical textbooks that you can roll on.
You never know. There could be. I haven't picked one up lately, so the names are just as hard to pronounce as those dragon names. So some of them.
Incantifer. It's not that difficult. But they had a tower in Sigil, and a lot of people were confused by that because they were constantly making moves against the Lady of Pain until their tower suddenly disappeared from Sigil, which everyone thought would be impossible because you can't technically teleport or plane shift off of Sigil. You have to use the portals. And so there was, in 2nd edition, I should say, like, no one cares about this 20 years later. It's just a fun thing you learn when you read way too many Planescape books.
Yep. Have you read the new 5e one yet? I mean, we talked about this. You said you opened it. Have you?
I did open it. I have not done a deep reading of it. I've more or less just kind of flipped through the book. Strangely, I don't seem to have a whole lot of time since someone keeps yelling at me that I'm not working fast enough.
Well, you should talk to your wife about that.
I'm talking about you. Because
I'll yell at you.
Yeah, sure you don't. When the
Ask it.
cameras are
Look,
off, Chris, you're just yelling at your phone, and I can feel that.
If the pressure you put upon yourself is manifested, never mind. Just use me as your crutch, as your excuse for feeling bad that you're not getting the work done. That's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, how are we doing?
On the Toolcraft. Toolcraft is going well. I am 25% of the way through another draft, adding in more items, filling out the book. We're currently at, I think, 20 new items across 4 or 5 tools. So, lots of excitement there. Actually, I just came up with a fun one for cook's utensils last night, where it's void salt mix, where it's basically like a salted nut mix that you can craft, and when the chef creates it for you, you eat a portion of it. You inure your soul to death, and so the first time that you would have to make a death saving throw, you automatically succeed, because the void salt is infused with negative energy and it preserves your soul. And I thought that was kind of fun.
Great. So you've used none of the dozens of recipes or anything that I've given you is what I'm hearing. Okay, good.
I can't read.
I'll cry softly in the corner when we're done here. That's fine.
That's good.
Speaking of,
you can't impinge on my perfect vision.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Speaking of cook's tools, did you take a look at the Wilder Feast? The book I sent you.
No, I didn't, because some of us don't have time. Some of us are shoveling a foot of snow.
You moved, not my fault. You really should, because it's good. I was looking through, and this is actually one of the new RPGs I'm excited for this upcoming year. And you can download their quick start now from their site, which I'll send over to you since you didn't read it. But they've branded it sort of as like a Monster Hunter. They use like Monster Hunter, Godzilla, those TTRPGs kind of things as a base. But you are a wilder. The land you live in has shockingly a lot of monsters. Now the problem is the monsters have been all cursed. Well, I take that back. They haven't all been. They're not all cursed, but there's a curse going through. So some of the beasts are incredibly just angry and want to kill everything. But normal. As a wilder, you are tasked with making sure you are keeping the land safe, but at the same time, that also could involve not killing monsters, taking ones that haven't been cursed and keeping them safe. And while it's not in the quick start, eventually you'll be able to like nurse them back to health if they're hurt, so they can help you in the one land protect it from this evil curse. The reason I bring it up this now is because with you talking about cook's tools, is it's interesting because you fight, but you also cook. So you can. It's funny because
what is cooking but fighting the ingredients?
Well, that's exactly. Well, it's interesting because you can, after you have to basically track the monster, decide if you're going to kill the monster, and you may not have a decision. It may decide to just kill you because it's angry and cursed. And then once that's done, then you have to use a certain amount of skills to be able to take the ingredients out of the monster, and then you cook the monster, and you can gain certain points from it. Like they have, what are their points? Give me 1 second here. Like if the monster has the ability to fly, you can take that trait. Monsters have different traits. So if you can do that, you can pick up the trait from the monster. Another interesting piece though is you can't do this, but like say you kill, I don't know, giant crab. You can use the crab to cook and prepare a meal and gain, let's say, a crawl speed or something. I don't know. But you can also chop off its claw and make it part of your body and then gain that attack to it also. The art's beautiful.
You're grafting monster parts onto yourself?
Yeah. Yes,
is it permanent?
Yeah, pretty much. The pictures are pretty funny. There's I'm looking through at different characters with like, oh yeah, lobster claw, you know. But it's interesting. There's they use it's a lot of the similar stuff. D6, D8, D20. A lot of the terms are the same. Grit, insight. But it's definitely their beta version of it. The Kickstarter, I think I'd have to look and see what the Kickstarter was 2003 when it came out, what the deal was, but I think it definitely has potential. Picking a character seems pretty fun. I would definitely check it out. It seems like a nice blend of stuff we've been talking about. I like to
Okay.
fight things. You like to use crafting.
So what you're saying is it's Chris approved.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. I'm a little hurt that you didn't read it. Whatever.
I have to remain pure while I'm making toolcraft so that I'm not stealing other people's ideas.
Yeah, which leads me to my next topic, which is interesting.
Okay.
So it's a very small, the D&D universe, it's a very small universe community when you start thinking about things that can be created. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about. So let's take magic items, for example. You can come up with a million magic items. Of course, you can probably only come up with a dozen that are actually balanced out of those millions, because anybody can come up with a crazy magic item, but to actually have it be in a game that's not broken, you have to.
I'd point out there's
into
hundreds of magic items in 5th edition, and they're all perfectly balanced.
I'm talking about homebrew. I'm talking about something you create. How much? If you go on to D&D Beyond, I think there's probably 20,000 magic items on there. Out of those, how many do you think are actually playable? Realistically playable?
I mean, are you asking whether magic items should be balanced?
No. And what I'm getting to is if you look at through some, and magic items is just an example. Take crafting, whatever. I've noticed that if you go back and you say, hey, look, this is a great idea. I'm looking at something on crafting items, on mechanic to craft items. I'm like, cool, this is a great one. I'm gonna see what else is out there. And you go back and you're like, huh, this one looks exactly the same as this other one. I'm gonna keep looking. I keep looking. I'm like, this is pretty much the same one I just read with this little tweak, not necessary. Long story short, well, long story long. What are your thoughts on when you know that you look and say, hey, Matt Colville came up with a great creation, but now I see 3 other idiots after them trying to do the exact same thing and take it for their own, steal someone else's ideas and try and actually make money off of it.
I mean, stealing
without even having without having the common courtesy of even changing anything.
I mean, that's just plagiarism at that point.
Right, and it runs rampant. And it doesn't bother me so much when you're doing it like, you are supposed to do that kind of stuff. Like if you're running an adventure, you say, hey, this is cool. I'm going to take this and put it in my campaign. That's fine. That's what it's there for. Yeah,
that's called stealing, and that's perfectly fine.
Right. But when you're doing it like sitting around a table with friends, that's fine because people want you to use their ideas. But when someone says that, oh, here's an idea, I'm going to take that and I'm going to start a Kickstarter with it. I found this online for free and I'm going to do it, package it up real pretty and make a Kickstarter of it, make money off of it. I mean, yeah, that's stealing. Great. But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, what do you do in that case? Like, I mean, yelling into the void isn't going to do anything, but I've seen plenty of things. I've seen plenty of creations that people have done that are outright ripoffs of other people's work.
Am I about to be punked? Did you find someone stealing my work, Chris? You know I will bring forth a flame strike and detonate them.
Get your spell ready.
Yeah. I mean, plagiarism is plagiarism. Like,
right.
If someone's stealing someone else's work, like we should all feel empowered to call them out and to credit the original creator.
Wow, that's a real PC answer.
I mean, I'm not gonna talk about how I'm gonna set their house on fire. They probably don't even know where they live, and that's going to be real difficult because then I'm just going to have to set random houses on fire and hope I find the right house.
Don't you know how the internet works? You can find anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It just annoys me when and we've had the conversation before on a different kind of angle on like, hey, look, we need this book for research. We should buy the book, not download it for free off the internet, off some sketchy site. And I'm just like, but it's TSR. And you're like, but we should still buy it. And I'm like, you're right. We definitely should buy it. And I would never go online and be like, ooh, some sketchy site. And I found so-and-so's book that I really wanted to get. I'm going to download it. That's not cool. We're small creators. We should support all the small creators. It just drives me nuts when I'm looking through and I see something that's a great system and then someone else takes it and just decides that they're going to make money off of it and at least doesn't have the common courtesy to even tweak it a little bit. And some of the more famous people that are out there on YouTube and stuff do this shit constantly, and it drives me nuts.
I mean, plagiarism is just it's just stealing from people you don't respect. Like that's, if you don't respect someone, then yeah, you're going to think it's fine to just take things from them because you're a bigger channel or whatever. I mean, you can look at, so this isn't exactly anything like your example actually, but we could look at like hacks of like Forged in the Dark, Candela Obscura, Critical Role's RPG is basically a hack of Forged in the Dark. And when they first released it, they didn't make any mention about Blades in the Dark, Forged in the Dark, like that type system. Now one of the designers on it did a lot of hacks for Forged in the Dark, so it was very kind of competent in that regard. And a lot of people kind of were yelling at them that like, hey, this is just Forged in the Dark. Well, I shouldn't say yelling. They're probably people yelling. Yeah, commenting that this is just a Forged in the Dark hack. How come you're not referencing where you originally got the idea from? Blah, blah, blah. And so, I think you come into the problem that you can't really copyright rules. You can copyright how you say those rules. You can copyright the pronouns for, like I can't call something a mind flayer and then try to sell it because it's Wizards of the Coast, TSR, like that's their original creation. That's theirs. Now I could create Face Sucker, a creature that happens to maybe look like a mind flayer if you squint slightly. And, but now I'm pretty sure Candela Obscura is now referencing like Forged in the Dark, Blades in the Dark, because there were people who were calling them out on that, or because there was a bit of a stink brought up about it. And so whether you're a big time or a small time creator, I think you should still like reference, hey, this person had a really good idea. This is where I got this from. And then, so long as you're like adequately referencing and telling people where you're getting some of these ideas from, then I think that's fine. But also at the end of the day, you can't copyright, roll 2 dice and take the higher number. Like at the end of the day, I can't be like, I had this idea from 3rd edition where you had a fortune effect and you got to roll 2 dice and take the higher one. Like that's just dumb.
Yeah, no. And I agree that I think that's the best you can hope for in the broken world we live in is acknowledge the people that have laid the groundwork before you. It's if you are the first person that comes up with an idea, fantastic. And someone else takes that idea and someone takes that idea and builds upon it and tweaks it a little better. That's actually great. If someone is going to take something that, let's say you've created, let's say tools, someone takes the tools idea and says, this is fantastic. I think I know I think I'm going to add X, Y, and Z on it. And then you look at it, you go, wow, I wish I had thought of that. That made it even a better program. That's, I think, that's fantastic. That's how the world should work. And if they want to go out and say, hey, we're going to do a Kickstarter, we're going to sell a book, we're going to do whatever. Giving at least a shout out to, hey, Steven, because it's not Chris, it's just Steven. Hey, Steve.
I'm glad you understand.
Yeah, I get it. We've been friends long enough. I want to give a shout out for this amazing idea that, was originally from blah blah blah. Thank you, Stephen. We've built upon whatever. Any sort of acknowledgement, I think, is the best you can hope for in a lot of these situations. It's just the more I look around, people are just blatantly stealing.
Well, I mean, now you're getting into questions of copyright. I mean, the biggest thing that has been all over the news is the copyright for Steamboat Willie has expired, and now we can all eagerly anticipate a bunch of horror movie knockoffs of Mickey Mouse on a steamboat and being creepy, just like we got with Winnie the Pooh.
I know that was frightening. That was horribly frightening when they made that horror movie with Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, I don't know.
Was the movie frightening or just the concept of a scary Winnie the Pooh frightening?
The movie.
Oh, okay.
The concept. Everything. Yeah. I don't know. It just there's such a divide now since the OGL between you'll have Wizards of the Coast here. And then below that, you have all these small creators, but small creators aren't all created equal. There's the Kobold Press of the world. There's Matt Colville and his new system. They're the big. Yep. Which have you been looking? Let's get on. We should talk about that sometime. I've been starting to look at it a little bit.
I don't know anything about MCDM's RPG. I've been hiding in my hole.
Yeah, and shoveling snow. So all small creators aren't created equal, like I said. I mean, there's the big players in that smaller pool, and then there's the small players, and then there's the teeny players, and then there's Dumpstat.
Hi.
And if you look around, you see a lot of the really small players are making some really fascinating stuff, some really interesting things, not only for D&D, but for Pathfinder, for their own RPGs, all this kind of stuff. And then you look 6 months later, 3 months later, and the same material has been gobbled up by some of the bigger players in that little pool, not even repackaged, just taken and put out there, and then we're going to do a Kickstarter on this. And I feel for the little guys because they have no recourse. Now, I'm not saying Global Press or Matt Colville, they are not the people I'm talking about. I love their shit. As far as I know, it's all original content. And it's great, but there are some people out there that just are totally, I mean, is it a morality and ethics issue? Yeah, sure. But there are just some scumbags out there. I feel bad. And so if you're going to use something and you're going to throw it into something you want to do, or even in your own home campaign, do a little research, drill down on what you're using to make sure that you are giving credit to the right person. That's all I'm saying. End of story.
Yeah.
I may have had a little too much time on my hands this week.
It sounds like you've been going down the rabbit hole of content creators, AI, and crowdfunding things.
Not AI. I can't even. That's like 4 live streams to scratch the proverbial surface of it. So.
Yeah, I mean there has been a noticeable uptick in crowdfunding that I've seen for RPG products, and maybe. The fans as a whole, the community as a whole, doesn't have a specific problem with it, and it's just a very vocal minority. But it does seem like there has been a very sharp increase in the number of RPGs that are, or content source books for D&D 5th edition, where it is just, I have asked ChatGPT to give me a D100 chart of quest ideas of things, and then I'm going to put it through a book and then sell the PDF of it to you for $5, and then they get thousands of backers and things of that nature. So I mean, realistically, it seems like most people don't seem to have a problem with regurgitated content, or with content that was created by a large language model AI system. So I don't know what to tell you.
How do you? Yeah, I mean, and if that's what you want to do as a creator, and if that's what you want to purchase as a buyer, I'm not going to tell you don't, because hey, that's you have that right. The question is, I guess, and is how do you show your fan base, your clients, your buyers, whatever market, whatever you want to call them, that you are creating original content and not going through AI. I mean, we talked about this, I think, last week with the art that we use for Toolcraft. I mean, if people want to like, oh, you used AI art, it's like, no, we can actually show you hand-drawn sketches of things for each piece of art that we have that our artists have sent to us to show us their progression. We actually have proof. So are we going to have to sit here and videotape ourselves typing our articles to be like, look, I'm actually writing? Nowadays, everybody can, it seems like you can accuse anybody of using AI for anything you write.
Yeah, I mean, that's just because it's trendy, it's buzzword. But also at the end of the day, I don't think that most people actually care. They're too busy with their own stresses in their life that they're not going to worry too much about what other people are doing. I mean, there's tons of blogs and niche communities where originally it was just people churning out content based off of what they read on Wikipedia and just taking that, regurgitating it, providing like the most shallow of information in order to serve ads to people on their blogs. And, you know, like they are making money, lots of money from serving ads to that community. And obviously it works for them because they're getting money and they're, you know, like it is enough for them to make like a passive income off of. Now, all that AI is doing is, you know, just making that job easier. And I don't think that it's, you know, people are just too busy to worry about it.
Well, except for the vocal minority that, you know, in the world we live in, if you yell loud enough, doesn't make a difference if it's a group of 3. If you yell loud enough, people are going to be, they're going to be the ones that people listen to.
Yeah.
Because there's always people that are going to do that.
Yeah, Katie over in the chat, why they are developing programs to detect AI-generated text.
Mm-hmm.
Why not use that? I think there's a long way to go before you can adequately say whether something was AI generated or not. And even then, it's kind of an arms race between, oh, let me create a program that can trick those programs that detect whether I'm AI or not. I mean, there was the issue with the D&D ones or one D&D's artwork of like that dwarf bursting through a wall, and a content creator was claiming that it was AI art because they were using an AI art detector thing, and it was like 94% chance this is probably AI. And then he sent an entire stream of just like looking at the art as like as fine a detail as possible and being like, oh, this hair is out of place or this finger doesn't look right. And you know, as a creator, I
this is what I'm talking about.
That stresses me so much, imagining someone looking at every single word I've written and being like, this is AI. Like, obviously no one writes like this. And I'm like, oh God, maybe I'm not a good writer. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I've been meaning to talk about something for the last 6 years, but we'll get to that off screen.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You know, like I think there's a huge issue when it comes to detecting when something's AI and when something's not being not using AI, and it's always going to be an arms race between whether or not you can determine whether someone is using AI, and eventually, like, people are going to be putting on their resume that, you know, like they are AI gurus. They know like the secret information to get the AI to churn out the best crap, the best spam. And I mean, most of their prompts are going to be like super realistic, talk authentically, don't sound like AI. And that'll be their prompts to making AI not sound like AI. And, you know, we can get in all sorts of discussions about AI. At the end of the day, I think AI is a tool. And if you're only using AI to churn out spam and you're not doing any work to it, then you're not using the tool very well. You can use AI to like give you ideas to help the brain juices flow, but like, you know, it's as good as it's as any other tool. You know, I don't look at people who use Photoshop to make artwork and being like, that's not real artwork. You know, you're not actually drawing. You're using a program to draw for you, to use brushes. You're not physically picking up a brush and brushing things out. That's a painting term, right? Brushing things out.
Yeah, sure. I'm an artist. That sounds totally normal.
Yeah.
I'm not an artist.
Now, I do think you get problematic where people only make stuff through AI artwork, or only make art through AI, don't do any like touch-ups or like involved work on it, and then are like, I'm an artist. And it's like, no, you're not. It doesn't matter how good you are at prompt making. That doesn't make you an artist. It just makes you a good prompt generator.
Good. Excellent. I'm glad.
I don't know what your original question was before.
I was going to say, I'd forgotten what I originally said. You kind of just kept going. I just was like, oh, we're going to let this play all the way out.
Yeah.
So
AI.
You were answering Katie's question from the chat. It's part of it.
Yeah. Well, you know, they develop programs to detect AI generate text. The issue is it's going to be a constant arms race. And at the end of the day, one's going to get so good that it's going to be almost indecipherable between someone not understanding how a keyboard works and like capitalizing random letters. And yeah, I don't know.
Geez, it was just so much easier when the early days of AI, when you'd know it was definitely AI when they just start referencing Nazis every other word. I mean, what happened to those days?
Mm-hmm. Now you're talking
remember
about
that?
I remember Microsoft tried doing a Twitter profile that was AI, and within like an hour they shut it down because it started making Nazi quotes.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about.
The internet might ruin everything that it touches.
So wrong. Yeah, no, it might. I think it has. But you know what? That's okay, because
it was back in like 2012 too. So it's
AI's
been around for a while. It's just because ChatGPT has come around that it has really come to the fore that people are freaking out about it, and like it's gone into a new generation, I suppose.
Yeah, a lesser generation. I'm sorry, what?
Wow. You are a boomer.
Don't fucking dare ever call me a boomer again. We've had this conversation. Because I'm not, and I'm waiting for the next comment to come up on our chat. Anyways, I guess the problem with the AI is because you never know what's real, what's not. Is it real? Is it not real? Like so on and so forth. For me, the whole problem is solved if you sit down at a table with 4, 5, 6 friends and play a game. Play a game like Blades in the Dark. You can't AI it with like off the top of your head goofiness.
From what I've seen, D&D might be try.
Yeah, that's true. But hi Minnow. If you were wondering what the giant woolly mammoth that was walking behind Steven, that's his dog. One of his dogs. So you maybe I know what you're saying about D&D trying to go that direction, but isn't part of the whole beauty of role-playing games and D&D letting your imagination kind of run wild in creating these fantastic worlds and putting them into play at a table? So you don't have to worry about that. You can create a world of your own and sit down and play it with your friends. And yeah, you may be like, well, they're going to sit down and use AI to write that world out. Great. I don't care. Because when you're actually sitting at the table with those people that you love and that you play with on a weekly basis, if you're lucky, I've said it before, players do dumb shit all the time, constantly.
That's kind of a catchphrase.
It is, because I do, and I'm mostly a player. You can't all of a sudden, the DM can't stop all of a sudden and be like, oh, I have to figure out a reaction to this. What am I going to do? I'll go ask ChatGPT. No. They're going to be like, okay, great. What am I going to do? And the game is a beautiful thing when it's that flowing, like, series of ideas that are put into action by someone that a GM who's running the game and by the players that are interacting with him and seeing how goofy they can be or seeing how they can get through this ordeal or, you know, whatever it is. It's just, that's the beautiful part of the game to me.
You know what? I'll give you $5 whole if in 5 years your prediction comes out true. Because I think in 5 years there will be. I remember this might date me slightly. Back in high school, the Aragon was the hot new thing, and I was all over it. And they had an online text-based game that you could play where it was kind of procedurally generated, you know, AI, and you know, like it would have different jobs or quests for you to go on to level yourself up, to earn money, things of that nature. And you know, I think that AI games, an AI game master is kind of just around the corner. Now, will it be suitable for an entire group to play against? That might be questionable, but for like solo RPGs, I mean, I'm seeing a ton of solo RPGs coming out lately, and they could definitely benefit from having like some sort of AI game master to like run adventures. And then like
I said,
every 10th side quest, it talks random garbage at you, but you know, that's computer.
Well, and again, it's the same thing. Like if you're willing to buy a book that is create 100 quests created, but like an AI created, here's 100 ideas for a quest and you want to pay $5 for it. Cool. That's your prerogative. What I'm talking about isn't something that hopefully will never go away, is at the core of what tabletop role-playing games were. And the key is tabletop. Get together with friends, sit down at a table, eat bad snacks, drink carbonated beverages, or drink alcoholic beverages with them, and over the span of 4 hours, play a game. Mm-hmm. And just do goofy shit. And if you're lucky, you have minis to move around on a sheet and realize how poorly you've positioned yourself when the fireball comes at you, and laugh with them in person, and you know, have just a really fun time. There's nothing that AI can ever do that can replace that. You want to put Alexa right in front of the thing? Not the same. It's a bunch of friends sitting around at a table having a really good time for that small window on a Saturday night when you can all get together. AI can't replace that.
Well,
ever.
You know, it's almost 11 o'clock, so I think we'll end it there. The promise that AI is not going to replace me as your game master.
I can't make that promise.
Oh, okay. Well, you have.
Who knows? You could be a computer-generated image on my screen right now, Steven.
That's true. You've been talking to a machine this entire time. Welcome to the future, Chris. It's so scary.
All right. Well, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday shoveling, Steven.
Thanks. I can't wait to shovel 3 more feet of snow that just piled up outside while we were talking.
Well, thanks everybody that was listening today.
Bye, Katie.
Bye, Katie.